The storm had rolled across the eastern plains like a marching army. Black clouds thundering, wind slicing through the tall grass, and lightning illuminating the wild savanna in harsh blue flashes. Ranger Elias Khan had been awake since dawn. He wasn't a man easily rattled. A former wildlife soldier turned rescue specialist. Elias had seen everything. Rogue lions, collapsing cliffs, flash floods, even injured rhinos charging with madness in their eyes. But this morning was different. The radio crackled on his Jeep's dashboard. Unit 7. Multiple distress calls from the Southern Valley. Locals report a massive python sighted near the horse sanctuary. Elias straightened. A python? How big? There was a pause. Static, then a shaky voice. "Sir," they said, "as thick as a tree trunk." That was all he needed to hear. He slammed the Jeep into gear. The sanctuary housed some of the rarest wild horses on the continent, free roaming, unbroken, protected by only a few caretakers, and a lot of fencing. A giant python near horses was dangerous. A giant python near mares with newborn foals was a nightmare. Elias stepped harder on the pedal as rain hammered the windshield. Something in his gut whispered. That time was running out. The mare who refused to run on the other side of the valley. Beneath a cluster of soaked acacia trees stood a mare named Leora. Her coat was the color of pale gold. Her mane streaked white like moonlight, and at her hooves, 2 shivering foals. Twins. Barely 1 week old, their tiny legs trembled from the cold rain. Their soft squeaks were lost under the storm. They huddled close to their mother as Leora sniffed the air, her instincts screaming. Something was stalking them, something heavy, something ancient. She stomped her hoof, warning the unseen threat, but the forest stayed silent, except a rustle, a shift of wet leaves, grass moving against the wind. Leora's ears shot upright. Her heart thundered. She nudged her babies backward. The foals obeyed, pressing their small bodies against her flank. Thunder rolled. Lightning lit the valley like daylight. And in that burst of light, Leora saw it, a shape longer than a bust, coiled, thick, moving with terrible grace across the mud. The giant python, its scales glistened black and bronze. Its eyes were unblinking yellow orbs, cold, calculating, and it was heading straight for her children. The python strikes. The serpent moved with unnatural speed. One moment, it was 10 meters away. The next, thud. It launched forward, mouth wide, fangs curved like sickles. Leora reared with a scream that echoed across the valley. She kicked. Her hoof struck the python's snout. The beast hissed so loudly the trees shook, but it wasn't stopping. It turned its massive body, circling the family, cutting off escape. The foals cried out, stumbling in the mud. Leora positioned herself in front of them, her chest rising and falling rapidly, her muscles trembling, not from fear, but from the courage boiling within her. Another strike, another kick, another scream. The python was playing with her now, testing her, weakening her, waiting for the moment she slipped. One mistake, one wrong movement, and the monster would crush all 3 of them in a single coil. And miles away, on the wet trail, Elias stepped harder on the gas, unaware he was racing against seconds. The radio goes dead. The rain worsened. The road turned to mud. Elias's Jeep fishtailed, but he held control, heart pounding like a drum. He reached for the radio. Unit 7 calling dispatch. Approx ETA 3 minutes. Nothing. Static. The storm had swallowed the signal, but Elias knew the valley by heart. He didn't need coordinates. He needed only instinct. He turned sharply toward the sanctuary clearing. That's when he saw the footprints. Huge. Wide tracks pressed deep into the mud. They were unmistakable. A python this size shouldn't even exist, he muttered. But it did, and it was hunting. He grabbed his tranquilizer rifle, slung it over his shoulder, and sprinted into the trees. Every second mattered. Leora's last stand. Leora was weakening. The python had landed a blow. Its head slammed into her ribs, knocking the wind from her lungs. Her legs buckled. The foals nuzzled her face. Crying softly, she pushed them back. Her bruises throbbed. Rain stung her eyes. Blood dripped from her nostrils, but she didn't move. She didn't run. She stood between the python and her children, shaking but unbroken. The serpent began coiling around her from the side. Leora lashed out again, but her kick missed. The python seized its chance. It wrapped one coil around her flank. She gasped as her bones groaned under the pressure. Another coil, another. Her legs trembled. The python hissed triumphantly, tightening, and then a gunshot split the air. Not a lethal bullet, but a tranquilizer dart burying into the python's back. The serpent jerked violently, its head whipped toward the trees. Leora collapsed to her knees, sucking in shaking breaths, and out of the bushes came Elias Khan, mud-splattered, clothes soaked. Rifle raised again. "Hey, over here," he screamed. "You want something to crush? Try me." The fight becomes personal. The python released Leora slightly, turning its massive body toward Elias. It wasn't enough to stop it, but enough to save her for a moment. The serpent lunged. Elias dodged, diving behind a fallen log as the python smashed its head into the earth, dirt exploding. "Just a little more of the tranquilizer," he muttered, but it wasn't slowing down. This python was bigger than anything he'd ever seen. Cold, scarred, powerful, a relic of a forgotten world. And it was angry. The rain made everything slippery. Elias's hands trembled as he reloaded. The python struck again. He rolled aside, narrowly avoiding fangs as long as his fingers. He fired. The dart hit, and another, and then click empty, the python surged toward empty. Elias knew he couldn't outrun it, but he could outsmart it. He leapt sideways, shouting at the top of his lungs, "Here, come on!" He lured it away from the foals, away from Leora, away from the family that had already suffered enough.
Miller, keep monitoring
the python chased him,
Will do.
fury in its yellow eyes. But each second mattered. Each breath bought the tranquilizers more time to take effect. And finally, the serpent wavered. Its body sagged. Its head dipped. With a final groaning hiss, it collapsed. The forest fell silent. The aftermath. Elias stumbled toward Leora and her foals.
Gently now.
The mare was still standing.
I have the blanket. Look,
Barely.
It's moving.
Her ribs heaving, her eyes glazed with exhaustion. "You fought harder than any animal I've ever seen."
There you go. Keep breathing.
Elias whispered. He gently touched her neck. She didn't flinch. She lowered her head and nudged his shoulder gratefully. The foals pressed against his legs,
Miller,
trembling but
did you
alive.
copy that?
He examined Leora's side. No broken bones, just severe bruising. She would heal. She had survived
Look at
because
that.
she refused to abandon her children, and because a human reached her in time. Together, they had done the impossible. The World Reacts news spread fast. A ranger risking his life to fight a prehistoric python. Mother horse defending
now, let's
her
get 'em
newborns
settled by
with
the heat lamps.
courage of a lion. Cameras arrived. Experts
just fine.
analyzed the serpent. The world watched
Her breathing
the
is steady
footage
now.
again and again.
The drip rate
Leora
is
shielding her
consistent.
babies.
Latched on.
Elias shouting to draw the python away.
We
The
did it.
final
It's gonna be
tranquilizer
okay.
shot. People cried. People cheered. Some said it was the bravest rescue ever recorded. Others said the Mare was the true hero. Elias agreed. That horse, he told reporters, has more courage than 10 men. A new beginning. Weeks later, under a warm sun, the foals ran through the sanctuary meadow. Healthy, strong, kicking up dust as they raced. Leora watched them, healed and proud. Elias leaned against the fence, smiling. The world called it a miracle, but to him, it was simple. A mother protected her children. A ranger answered a call, and together, they stunned the world.